This revelation sent shockwaves through the human delegation. They had prepared for first contact, for cultural exchange, perhaps even for hostility, but not for being thrust into an intergalactic war. Dr. Reyes, ever curious, bombarded the Zarquin with questions about the threat. The answers painted a grim picture. A species known as the Vorthak, conquerors and destroyers of worlds, was sweeping through the galaxy, assimilating or annihilating all in their path. But we're centuries behind you technologically, Chen argued. How could we possibly help against a threat that even you can't handle? Zulix's skin rippled with patterns of deep purple and gold. It is precisely because of your younger perspective that you are valuable. The Vorthak have counters to all our advanced techniques. We need fresh, unpredictable strategies. We need human ingenuity. As discussions continued, it became clear that this first contact was just the beginning. Humanity now faced a choice: remain isolated on Earth and hope the conflict passed them by, or step onto the galactic stage and fight for their place among the stars. The weight of this decision pressed heavily on Chen and her crew. They had come seeking knowledge and friendship, but found themselves potential soldiers in a war beyond their comprehension. As the humans prepared to return to the horizon to report back to Earth, Zulix approached Chen privately. "There is more at stake than just the fate of our civilizations, Captain," the alien said, its voice resonating in Chen's mind. "The Vorthak seek something ancient and powerful, something that could upset the balance of the entire universe. We believe clues to stopping them may lie hidden on your world, lost remnants of a civilization that came long before humanity." Chen's mind reeled at the implications. Earth, their young, often chaotic home, might hold the key to saving the galaxy. As she boarded the horizon, she knew that everything had changed. Humanity's trial by fire was about to begin, and the outcome would determine not just their own fate, but that of countless worlds among the stars. As the horizon broke away from the Zarquin ship, beginning its journey back to Earth, the crew was silent, each lost in thought about the monumental task that lay ahead. They carried with them not just the wonders of first contact, but the weight of a galaxy in peril. The adventure had only just begun. The vastness of space erupted into chaos as the combined Earth-Zarquin fleet engaged the Vorthak scouts at the edge of the solar system. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the newly christened ESS Defiant, Earth's most advanced warship, watching as streaks of energy crisscrossed the void. Multiple Vorthak vessels approaching from Vector 227, her tactical officer reported, voice tense but steady. "They're charging weapons." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Evasive maneuvers. Bring us about and prepare to fire main cannons." The battle that followed was unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. The Vorthak ships, organic-looking monstrosities that seemed to absorb light, moved with terrifying speed and precision. But the human-Zarquin alliance held its ground, their strategies unpredictable, their resolve unshakable. As the conflict raged, Dr. Reyes worked tirelessly aboard the Defiant, coordinating with her team on Earth to decipher the final clues to the ancient superweapon's location. "We're close," she muttered, her eyes scanning rapidly over streams of data. "So close." Back on Earth, Admiral Harper oversaw the planet's defenses, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of holographic displays showing the battle raging beyond the moon's orbit. "We can't let a single Vorthak ship breach our perimeter," he barked to his staff. "Every second we buy is crucial." The initial skirmish lasted for days, a testament to how far humanity had come in such a short time. But as the dust settled and the remnants of the Vorthak scouting force retreated, it became clear that this was merely the beginning. In the aftermath, Chen, Reyes, and Harper convened via hologram to assess the situation. "We held them off," Chen reported, "but at a cost. We lost a third of our fleet, and the Zarquin took heavy losses as well." Harper nodded grimly. "It's worse than we thought. Our long-range sensors are picking up a massive Vorthak armada heading our way. We have weeks, maybe a month before they arrive in force." Reyes, her face haggard from sleepless nights of research, spoke up. "Then we need to move now. I've pinpointed the location of the superweapon. It's in a system deep in Vorthak territory, on a planet they call the Forge." The implications were clear. A small team would need to infiltrate enemy space, locate the weapon, and find a way to use it against the Vorthak, all before the main invasion force reached Earth. Chen volunteered to lead the mission without hesitation. "The Defiant is our best shot at getting through undetected. We'll take a small crew, the best of the best." As preparations for the mission began, Earth faced its own challenges. The recent battle had made the threat all too real, and panic began to spread. Riots broke out in major cities, and fringe groups called for surrender to the Vorthak. In a bold move, the United Nations revealed the existence of the superweapon to the public, hoping to rally humanity's spirit. It worked to an extent. A new wave of volunteers flooded recruitment centers, and global industry kicked into overdrive, producing ships and weapons at an unprecedented rate. The day of the Defiant's departure arrived all too soon. As the ship prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Chen addressed her crew. "What we're about to do goes beyond duty, beyond heroism. We carry with us the hopes of not just our world, but countless others across the galaxy. Failure is not an option." With a flash of its experimental hyperdrive, the Defiant vanished from the solar system, embarking on its perilous mission deep into enemy territory. As if in response to her question, tendrils of energy reached out from the crystal, enveloping both Chen and Reyes. They felt their minds expand, connecting not just with each other, but with the ancient intelligence within the crystal. In that moment of connection, they understood. The weapon wasn't a device of destruction, but a tool of transformation. It had the power to alter reality itself, to rewrite the very nature of those it targeted. But using it came at a cost. The weapon required a conscious mind to direct it, and the process would consume that mind entirely. Chen and Reyes looked at each other, the weight of the galaxy's fate heavy on their shoulders. Without a word, they knew what had to be done. "I'll do it," Chen said, her voice quiet but firm. Reyes shook her head. "No, it should be me. You're needed to lead the fleet." Before their argument could continue, a massive explosion rocked the chamber. Vorthak forces had breached the structure and were closing in fast. In that moment of chaos, a third option presented itself. Through their link with the crystal, both Chen and Reyes realized they could merge their consciousness with the weapon. Together, they might have the strength to survive the process. With Vorthak troops pouring into the chamber, they made their choice. Hands clasped, they fully opened their minds to the ancient intelligence. The chamber erupted with blinding light. Chen and Reyes felt their individual selves dissolving, merging with each other and with the vast alien mind of the weapon. Their combined consciousness expanded, encompassing the Forge, then the surrounding space, and finally stretching across the galaxy. They saw the Vorthak for what they truly were, not conquerors, but a species driven by fear, twisted by an ancient curse that forced them to consume and destroy. With this understanding came the power to act. A wave of energy pulsed outward from the Forge, washing over the Vorthak fleet. Where it touched, it transformed. Warships turned into gardens, weapons into tools of creation. The Vorthak themselves were freed from their curse, their minds cleared of the compulsion that had driven them for millennia. Across the galaxy, the wave continued, undoing the damage the Vorthak had caused, restoring worlds they had destroyed, and bringing peace to countless civilizations. Back on the Forge, the light faded. Where Chen and Reyes had stood, a new being now floated, a fusion of human consciousness and ancient technology, glowing with power and understanding. As the transformed Vorthak stumbled in confusion, trying to comprehend their new reality, the Chen-Reyes fusion spoke, its voice echoing with the wisdom of ages. The cycle of destruction is broken. A new era of creation begins. The fusion being then turned its attention to the Defiant, still defending its position outside. With a thought, it transported the ship and its crew back to Earth, where they would share the news of this incredible transformation. As reports of the Vorvax change spread across the galaxy, celebrations erupted on countless worlds. The war was over, not through destruction, but through understanding and transformation. On Earth, Admiral Harper received the news with a mixture of joy and disbelief. As he explained the events to the United Nations, he couldn't help but smile. "It seems," he said, "that in the end, our greatest weapon was our humanity itself." The galaxy stood on the brink of a new age, with humanity playing a central role. The adventure that had begun with a simple radio signal had led to the transformation of an entire civilization and the dawn of a new era of galactic peace. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, the consciousness that had once been Captain Chen and Dr. Reyes watched over it all, guardians of the new harmony they had helped create. The ESS Horizon glided silently through the void, its sleek hull gleaming in the distant sunlight. After months of travel, they had finally reached the coordinates provided by the Zarquin. Captain Zara Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the main view screen, searching for any sign of their alien counterparts. "Anything on sensors, Dr. Reyes?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the tension that hung in the air. Elena Reyes shook her head, her brow furrowed as she studied the readouts. "Nothing yet, Captain, but we're right where we should be and—" She stopped abruptly, her eyes widening. "Wait, I'm picking up something. It's big." As if on cue, space itself seemed to ripple before them. A massive ship materialized out of nowhere, dwarfing the horizon. Its surface was a mesmerizing swirl of iridescent colors, constantly shifting and changing. "My God," whispered Admiral Harper, who had insisted on joining the mission despite his reservations. "It's beautiful." Chen snapped into action. "Open a channel, all frequencies. Let's say hello." Before they could transmit, a beam of soft, purple light engulfed the horizon. Panic rippled through the crew, but Chen raised a hand, calling for calm. "Hold steady. They're not attacking. This could be their way of communicating." Rey's console lit up with activity. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission. It's in English." A melodious voice filled the bridge, resonating not just through the speakers, but seemingly within their minds as well. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Zarquin. We welcome you to the greater galactic community." Chen stepped forward, her voice clear and confident. "On behalf of humanity, we return your greeting with hope and friendship. We are honored to make your acquaintance." What followed was a flurry of cultural exchange. The Zarquin, it turned out, were a highly advanced species with a civilization spanning thousands of years and hundreds of star systems. They had been observing Earth for centuries, watching humanity's progress with great interest. The crew of the Horizon was invited aboard the Zarquin vessel. As they stepped through the shimmering portal, they found themselves in an environment that defied their understanding of physics. Gravity shifted at will, and spaces seemed to fold in on themselves, revealing vast chambers within what should have been impossibly small areas. Their hosts were as alien as their ship. The Zarquin stood nearly 3 meters tall, their bodies a fluid, almost translucent blue. They communicated primarily through a combination of telepathy and bioluminescent patterns that danced across their skin. As the initial awe wore off, tensions began to simmer. Admiral Harper, ever cautious, pressed the Zarquin on their intentions. "Why contact us now? What do you want from Earth?" The Zarquin elder, a being named Xylix, responded with what seemed like sadness. "We have come because you are needed, young ones. A great darkness threatens the galaxy, and in our search for allies, we have seen in humanity a spark, a resilience and adaptability that may prove crucial in the coming conflict." In the quiet depths of space, an unassuming blue planet spun lazily around its yellow star. Earth, home to humanity, had long wondered if it was alone in the universe. On a crisp autumn morning in 2047, that question was answered. Dr. Elena Reyes sat bolt upright in her chair, her eyes wide as she stared at the computer screen before her. The radio telescope array she managed in Chile had picked up something extraordinary, a pattern. Not the random noise of cosmic background radiation, but a clear, repeating sequence of prime numbers. "Holy shit," she whispered, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she ran the data through various filters and checks. There was no doubt about it. This was a message, and it wasn't from Earth. Within hours, the news had spread through the scientific community. Within days, it reached the public. The world erupted into a frenzy of excitement, fear, and speculation. Governments scrambled to form committees, religious leaders sought to interpret the event within their doctrines, and social media exploded with memes and conspiracy theories. In Washington, D.C., Admiral James Harper stood before a hastily assembled panel of world leaders. His weathered face was grim as he addressed the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing an unprecedented situation. An alien civilization has made contact, and we need to respond. But more importantly, we need to prepare. We don't know their intentions, their capabilities, or their location. We must assume they are more advanced than us and potentially hostile." The room erupted into chaos, voices shouting over one another until a sharp whistle cut through the noise. All eyes turned to a young woman standing at the back of the room. Captain Zara Chen, the youngest person ever to command a spacecraft, stepped forward. "With all due respect, Admiral," she said, her voice calm but intense, "we can't let fear dictate our actions. This is the greatest opportunity humanity has ever faced. We should approach this with caution, yes, but also with hope and an open mind." Harper's eyes narrowed, but he nodded grudgingly. "You're right, Captain. That's why you're here. We're putting together a team, the best and brightest Earth has to offer. You'll be our first line of contact if these aliens decide to pay us a visit." As the meeting continued, Dr. Reyes was busy decoding more of the alien message. It wasn't just prime numbers anymore. Hidden within the signal was a set of coordinates and a time. The aliens wanted to meet. The coordinates pointed to a location just beyond Mars' orbit. It would take months for any current Earth spacecraft to reach it, but they had a year before the proposed meeting time. A year to prepare, to build, to train. Project Envoy was born. Under the joint leadership of Admiral Harper and Captain Chen, with Dr. Reyes as Chief Science Officer, humanity poured its resources into constructing a ship capable of making the journey. They called it the ESS Horizon. As the Horizon took shape in Earth's orbit, Chen oversaw the training of her crew. They were a diverse group representing the best of humanity: scientists, soldiers, diplomats, and engineers from every corner of the globe. Dr. Reyes continued to study the alien transmissions, learning more each day. "They call themselves the Zaraquin," she reported during one briefing. "Their language is complex, but I'm making progress in translating it. They seem curious about us." Admiral Harper remained skeptical. Curious like a scientist is curious about a lab rat, or curious like a child with a new toy. Chen interjected, "Or curious like one sentient species hoping to meet another. We can't project our own fears onto them, Admiral. We have to approach this with an open mind." As the launch date approached, tension on Earth reached a fever pitch. Some hailed it as the dawn of a new age, while others warned of impending doom. Religions worldwide experienced both revival and crisis as people sought to reconcile their beliefs with the reality of alien life. On the day of launch, billions watched as the ESS Horizon broke free of Earth's gravity. Captain Chen's voice crackled over the global broadcast. "People of Earth, we embark on this journey on behalf of all humanity. Whatever we find out there, know that we carry the best of our world with us, our courage, our curiosity, and our hope for a brighter future." As the horizon accelerated towards its rendezvous with the unknown, humanity held its collective breath. The greatest adventure in human history had begun, and no one knew how it would end. But one thing was certain: the universe would never be the same again. In the months following the transformation of the Vorthak and the end of the Galactic War, the universe entered an unprecedented era of peace and cooperation. Earth, once a remote outpost on the fringes of known space, now found itself at the center of a new galactic community. Admiral Harper, now serving as Earth's primary representative to the newly formed Galactic Council, stood before a vast assembly of alien dignitaries. The chamber, a marvel of joint human and alien engineering, floated in orbit around a neutral star system. "Friends, allies, fellow sentients," Harper began, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's journey. "A year ago, we faced extinction. Today, we celebrate not just our survival, but the birth of a new age of understanding." As Harper spoke, holographic displays showed scenes from across the galaxy. Former Vorthak worlds blossomed with new life, their once fearsome war machines now repurposed for exploration and creation. Zarquin ships flew alongside human vessels, their crews working together to heal the scars left by centuries of conflict. On Earth, the changes were equally profound. The influx of alien knowledge and technology had solved many of humanity's long-standing problems. Clean energy powered every corner of the globe, and advances in medicine had eradicated most diseases. But perhaps the most significant change was in humanity's perspective. The petty conflicts and divisions that had once defined human society seemed trivial in the face of the vast, diverse universe they now knew. As the Galactic Council session concluded, Harper found himself approached by a familiar, yet utterly alien presence. The being that had once been Captain Chen and Dr. Reyes floated before him, its form a swirling mass of energy and light. "Admiral," the being spoke, its voice a harmony of Chen's determination and Reyes' curiosity. "We've been watching. You've done well." Harper smiled, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "We couldn't have done it without your sacrifice. Is there anything left of the Chen and Reyes I knew?" The being pulsed gently. "We are them, and we are more. Their essence, their core beliefs still guide us, but our perspective now encompasses the entire galaxy." As they spoke, the being shared visions with Harper, glimpses of distant worlds, of civilizations rising and falling, of the intricate web of life that connected every corner of the universe. "There is so much more out there, Admiral," the being continued. "So much to explore, to learn, to become. Humanity's journey is just beginning." Harper nodded, understanding the immensity of what lay ahead. "And you, what will you do now?" The being's form shimmered. "We will watch and guide when needed, but the future belongs to those who will shape it, to humanity, to the Zarquin, to the reborn Vorthak, and to countless other species yet to join our galactic community." With a final pulse of light, the being vanished, leaving Harper with a sense of both loss and infinite possibility. As he made his way back to the Earth ship that would take him home, Harper reflected on the incredible journey that had led them to this point. From the first alien signal detected by Dr. Reyes, to the bravery of Captain Chen and her crew, to the ultimate sacrifice that had transformed the galaxy, every step had been crucial. Looking out at the star-filled vista before him, Harper felt a surge of pride and excitement. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, but had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take its place among the stars. As the ship began its journey back to Earth, Harper thought about the generations to come, children who would grow up knowing the wonders of the universe, who would see alien worlds as easily as their grandparents had visited other countries. The future was bright, filled with challenges and opportunities beyond imagination, and humanity, tested and transformed by its cosmic trial, was ready to face that future with open arms and endless curiosity. As Earth came into view, a tiny blue marble suspended in the vast cosmic ocean, Harper smiled. The greatest adventure in human history hadn't ended, it had only just begun. The story of humanity's first contact, their desperate struggle, and ultimate triumph had become legend across the galaxy. But more than that, it had become a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, understanding, cooperation, and the indomitable human spirit could overcome any obstacle. And somewhere out there, watching over it all, The entity that had once been Chen and Reyes continued its vigil, a guardian of the peace born from humanity's greatest challenge and its greatest triumph. The universe, vast and mysterious, beckoned, and humanity, no longer alone, no longer afraid, was ready to answer its call. The defiance screamed through the atmosphere of the forge, its hull glowing red-hot from the friction and the near misses of Vorthak weapons fire. Captain Chen gripped her command chair, barking orders as the ship corkscrewed through a maze of towering structures that jutted from the planet's surface. "Find us a landing zone now," Chen commanded, her eyes darting between tactical displays. Dr. Reyes, hunched over her console, suddenly exclaimed, "I've got it. The weapon's signal is coming from a structure 2 kilometers east of our position." With a bone-jarring thud, the Defiant touched down in a narrow ravine, momentarily hidden from the swarming Vorthak ships above. Chen turned to her crew, her face grim but determined. "We've got one shot at this. Dr. Reyes, you're with me. The rest of you defend the ship at all costs." As Chen and Reyes donned their exosuits and prepared to disembark, the ship's sensors blared a warning. "Multiple ground units converging on our position," the tactical officer reported. Chen nodded. "Hold them off as long as you can. If we're not back in 30 minutes, take off without us." With that, Chen and Reyes plunged into the alien landscape of the forge. The air was thick with acrid smoke, and the ground beneath their feet pulsed with an unsettling rhythm, as if the entire planet was one massive, living machine. They fought their way through waves of Vorthak ground troops, insectoid creatures with exoskeletons that seemed to absorb energy weapons. Chen's combat training and Reyes' quick thinking kept them alive as they pushed towards their objective. Finally, they reached the structure housing the ancient weapon. It was a massive, organic-looking spire that seemed to grow out of the planet itself. As they approached, a hidden entrance arised open, as if recognizing their presence. Inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber, at the center of which floated a pulsing, crystalline entity. It was the size of a small ship, its facets reflecting images of stars, galaxies, and strange alien worlds. "This is it," Reyes breathed, her voice filled with awe. "The weapon. But how do we activate it?" The return journey to Earth felt both interminable and all too swift. Captain Chen and her crew grappled with the weight of their newfound knowledge, knowing that the information they carried would forever change the course of human history. As the blue marble of Earth grew larger in their viewscreen, Chen addressed her crew. "What we've learned, what we've seen, it's beyond anything we could have imagined. But remember, we're not just messengers. We're the vanguard of humanity's entry onto the galactic stage. Whatever comes next, we face it together." The Horizon's return sparked a global frenzy. News of the Zarquin and the looming threat of the Vorthak spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled, economies fluctuated wildly, and the people of Earth found themselves united as never before in the face of this cosmic challenge. In the weeks that followed, a flurry of diplomatic activity ensued. The United Nations convened an emergency session, and for the first time in history, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to debate humanity's response to the galactic crisis. Admiral Harper, his earlier skepticism tempered by his experiences aboard the Zarquin ship, stood before the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a crossroads. We can choose isolation, hoping that this galactic conflict passes us by. Or we can seize this moment, join with the Zarquin, and fight for our place among the stars. I say we fight." The debate raged for days, but in the end, the decision was clear. Earth would join the alliance against the Vorthak. But how could a planet that had barely reached its own moon hope to contribute to an intergalactic war? The answer came in 2 parts. First, the Zarquin offered to share some of their technology, enough to bring humanity up to speed without overwhelming them. Second, as Zilix had hinted, Earth itself held secrets that could turn the tide of the war. Dr. Reyes led the charge in deciphering the clues left by the ancient civilization that had once called Earth home. "We've been looking at our own history all wrong," she explained during a briefing. "What we thought were myths, legends, even some of our oldest archaeological sites, they're all pieces of a puzzle left behind by a species that faced the Vorthak eons ago." As Reyes and her team worked to unravel these ancient mysteries, Captain Chen found herself at the forefront of a new initiative. The Horizon Project, once focused solely on first contact, now expanded into a full-fledged space defense program. New ships were commissioned, crews were trained, and humanity began to reach for the stars with renewed purpose. Admiral Harper, working closely with the Zaraquin, oversaw the integration of alien technology into Earth's defenses. Shields that could withstand meteor impacts were installed around major cities. Weapons capable of delivering payloads at near-light speeds were developed. And perhaps most importantly, faster-than-light travel, once the stuff of science fiction, became a reality. But it wasn't just about military might. The alliance with the Zaraquin opened up new avenues of scientific and cultural exchange. Human artists collaborated with alien counterparts to create works that defied traditional understanding. Scientists worked side by side, pushing the boundaries of knowledge in physics, biology, and a dozen other fields. As Earth transformed, tensions arose. Some saw the rapid changes as a threat to human identity and independence. Protest movements sprang up, calling for a slower, more cautious approach to galactic integration. Chen found herself navigating not just the stars, but the turbulent waters of public opinion. In a widely broadcast interview, she addressed these concerns. "I understand the fear. Everything is changing so fast. But we're not losing our humanity, we're expanding it. We're taking our place in a larger community, and in doing so, we're discovering new aspects of what it means to be human." Months passed, and Earth's first interstellar defense fleet began to take shape in orbit. Ships of human and Zaraquin design floated side by side, a testament to the new alliance. But even as humanity reached new heights, storm clouds gathered on the horizon. Reports began to filter in from the fringes of Zaraquin's space. The Vorthak were on the move, their massive fleets leaving devastation in their wake. The galaxy was burning, and the flames were drawing ever closer to Earth. In a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Reyes made a breakthrough. Poring over ancient texts and artifacts, cross-referencing them with Zaraquin historical records, she uncovered the location of a weapon, a superweapon capable of turning the tide against the Vorthak. As Reyes shared her findings with Chen and Harper, a sense of both hope and dread filled the room. The weapon was real, and it was powerful beyond imagination, but retrieving it would mean venturing into the heart of Vorthak-controlled space. Chen looked at her companions, her eyes glinting with determination. "We've come this far. We've united our world, reached the stars, and formed an alliance beyond our wildest dreams. Now it's time to take the fight to the enemy." As alarms blared and the first reports of Vorthak scouts at the edges of the solar system came in, humanity stood at the precipice. The greatest test in human history was about to begin, and the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. With a mixture of fear and determination, the people of Earth prepared for war. The stars, once a distant dream, now promised both peril and salvation. Humanity's moment of truth had arrived. The journey was fraught with danger. The Defiant narrowly avoided Vorthak patrols, navigated treacherous regions of space where the laws of physics seemed to break down, and fought off an attack by space-dwelling creatures that defied description. As they neared their destination, Dr. Reyes made a startling discovery. "The weapon," she explained to Chen, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "It's not just a weapon. It's alive, or at least it was. It's some kind of biomechanical entity created by the ancients to combat the Vorthak." This revelation added a new layer of complexity to their mission. They weren't just retrieving a weapon, they were potentially awakening an ancient, sentient being. Finally, they arrived at the Forge, a massive artificial world that served as the heart of the Vorthak war machine. As the Defiant approached, cloaked and running silent, the crew got their first real look at the full might of their enemy. Thousands of ships swarmed around the planet-sized factory, and the surface was a maze of production facilities and weapon emplacements. Chen turned to her crew, her face set with determination. "This is it. Everything we've fought for, everything we've sacrificed, it all comes down to this moment. We find the weapon, we activate it, and we give the entire galaxy, a fighting chance." As the Defiant began its descent towards the surface of the forge, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. They had been detected. Vorthak vessels began to converge on their position, weapons charging. Chen's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us to the surface at all costs. The fate of everything we know depends on it." The Defiant plunged towards the forge, energy beams sizzling past its hull, the hopes of Earth and the entire Alliance hanging by a thread. The true test of humanity's resolve was about to begin.